when you look under the scope, based on what we now know, you would be able to identify what part of the life stage or phase the cell is in. So if you were looking under, these are called whitefish cells because they're very easy to stain, okay, and view under a scope. But can you see the difference in what's happening to the chromosomes? All right, because these phases of mitosis, this life cycle of the cell, what you're looking for is what does the chromosome, what does the nuclear material look like? When we're looking at our cells and they're simply just carrying out their activity, it simply looks like spaghetti in the nucleus. The nucleus is well defined. It's not showing any type of disintegration. But as that life cycle moves forward and other phases begin to show up, what do you notice about the nucleus here?
Yes.
Okay, looks messy. It looks like this material has moved out of it. Okay? And then here we begin, well, and you also begin to see those chromosomes condensing. They're showing some condensing taking place. They're lining up on the middle. You can see those spindle fibers that have formed. Here, they're pulled apart. Begin to see that cytoplasm breaking apart. You begin to see those chromosomes condensing a little bit. Here, the nucleus is reforming. Division will continue, and 2 new cells. Yes, no, maybe. Good. All right. So that is the end of chapter 4. Our next chapter, and you're probably wondering, why does chapter 26 come up next? Anybody wondered that yet? Why didn't we go from just 4 to chapter 5? Why did we go to chapter 26? When?
Because your metabolism and your nutrition have to do with yourself.
Yes. Yes. Everything that we've talked about up to this point. Cell, 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 cell. That's not going to change. Okay? And the reason that we switched to chapter 26, our cells, remember, they have to carry out all the processes of life, meaning they have to get material and use it. The way that we provide material is what we eat. And it's very true. You are what you eat. Okay? Now, our cells we've talked about how the organism as a whole has to carry out metabolism, all right? But I've also said that one of the things the cell has to do is it has to also carry out metabolism. Do you remember the definition of metabolism? What's the definition? It's the sum of all chemical reactions. So not only chemical reactions of the body as a whole, but we have to think about those chemical reactions of the cell. So this chapter is going to also talk to us about cellular respiration. Y'all ever talked about that before? Okay. Do you happen to remember why it's important? So that you get energy. So that everything can work. So that you can get more foodstuffs to get more stuff to the cell so the cell can carry out cellular respiration to make energy so we can start this process all over again. It's called living. All right? Now, all this stops at the time of death. Okay? It is important when we look at nutrition that we get a balanced diet. How many of y'all in here would say you've got a good balanced diet? Hey, I'm not gonna say I've got one because I don't. Asian, okay. So, you know, one thing about the U.S., and I'm thinking it's applying to other countries as well. Our obesity rates have soared. All right. Our nutrition has bottomed out. The majority of our food has no nutrition, okay? The nutritional value is very low. And so many things are the taste, okay? I mean, did y'all know that because of the lifespan of a chicken now that's going to get to the market to be sold to eat, because it is such a short time frame, they actually have to inject it with chicken taste. Did y'all know that? I mean, our foodstuffs have decreased so greatly. One of the reasons that obesity has soared is because we're searching for something that will satisfy the tastes that our body's craving, okay? But we just don't have that type of food stuff anymore, that quality of food stuff anymore, okay? I can remember as I was growing up, okay, and I grew up in a small town where there was still a lot of farming that was done. I mean, we had one grocery store, and you basically went there to buy your stuff like the flour and the sugar, okay? Other than that, our foodstuffs, for us, and for the majority of the people that I knew, we got it from farming, all right? Every summer, we worked the farm, all right? We had the family members who butchered the meat, okay? I can still remember the difference in the taste. It was so different. We probably didn't get a second grocery store in that town until I was in my 20s. So for a long time, I was very privileged in being able to have good quality foodstuffs, okay? You know, we had our own root cellar, all that type of stuff. Of course, after we got which I didn't really pay attention because, you know, let's be honest, you know, as you grow and you get older, you get to your 20s. 20s are a blur, okay? You get into your 30s, and maybe about mid-30s or so, a little bit of the brain is coming back, but you're still pretty much in a blur, okay? You get to your 40s, and you're kind of sitting there going, this is it? Isn't there supposed to be something else? And now you get into your 50s, and you're just like, seriously? Really? And so, the one thing, you know, that I think about now is I think about nutrition, but that's because my health has made me. Okay? So, nutrition, it is how we're going to get chemicals to the body. All right? So, those chemicals, the goal is that hopefully they will give us building blocks. Now, let's think back a second. We talked about the biological molecules. We talked about carbohydrates, the sugars, okay? Do you happen to remember what that was a building block for? The carbs, the glucoses, the sugars.
Polysaccharides? Polysaccharides?
Polysaccharides. Do you remember on a part of the cell where a polysaccharide might be found? But, okay, do you guys remember?
Oh, on the
Glucose chains. Okay, do you guys remember glycolipids, glycoproteins? What function did they serve?
protection, cell-to-cell communication, and like recognition.
Tons of stuff that's kind of cool, okay, that I kind of like, okay. Now, do you happen to remember the only molecule the nervous system can use for energy? Glucose. All right? So, we're going to see that we need these chemicals. They help provide building blocks. All right? Now, what about building amino acid proteins? I just gave you the answer. What kind of building blocks did we need for proteins? Our amino acids. Okay? The only way that we get, and what, do you remember what the fats gave us? What fats give us when we eat them? Jump.
Lipids.
We're going to get the little lipids that help us make phospholipids of membranes. The only way we get materials is by eating. This is why when they begin to, now when I was growing up it was the food pyramid, okay? And so it's changed a lot since I came along. Now they have this My Plate that should help us determine or make or plan the meals in the hopes that we're getting materials that would be a balanced diet for foodstuffs the body can use. Okay? So, they say this should be a representation of how much of your plate each one of these take up. So, we need to make sure at meals we get proteins, we get vegetables, we get grains, we get fruits, and we get dairy. I took a class last semester for childhood development, and it was about the diet.